All right, so we have also talked about information, what comes under the category of information, and how we, what we deliver and what we communicate. So actually, whenever we talk and whenever we communicate facts, we communicate ideas. Somehow we are sharing our concepts, our point of view about certain things. We are sometimes we are communicating our beliefs, and sometimes we are excuse me, we are communicating our attitudes, and sometimes we need to instruct the other persons or our employees. And so when we instruct our employees, so somehow, or in other words, we are communicating, we are giving instructions, so that is also communication. And even we can deliver our emotions as well, so that is also a kind of information. Emotions mean, for example, when you are angry, for example, and or you're sad, so that sadness appears on your face. All right, so somehow, or when you talk in an angerly mood. All right, so that anger is communicated, that is emotion. Your anger, being angry, is an emotional state. Sorry. So you are, if you are angry, or if you are talking in an angerly manner, so you are communicating anger, and anger is emotion. All right, but through your words, through your expression, you're also delivering or communicating that anger or that emotion as well. All right, so we can deliver or communicate our emotions as well. For example, if you are happy, so your face, your conversation, your vocabulary, the way you communicate, that will express your happiness, that will communicate your happiness to the receiver, to the other person, and they will understand that you are happy, because the way you are expressing, the way you are communicating, that shows that you are happy. So we can deliver and we can communicate our emotions as well. Okay, so now an important question arises in our mind, that in first semester we studied the functional English, and we studied different language skills, and then we paragraph writing, punctuation, comprehension. All right, so some of the written aspects, grammar. So now we are in this semester we are having communication course. So why do we need to study? Why we are studying this course? What's the importance? What is the rationale behind this studying this course? So first of all, it is a high valued skill. It's a skill. All right, uh, and it's a very important skill. If you do not know how to communicate, so your value is worthless. You are worthless, you are nothing if you cannot communicate your skills, if you cannot communicate, if you cannot express yourself. All right, so then it doesn't matter what kind of knowledge you have, it will be of no use if you cannot communicate or express that knowledge with others. So it's a high valued skill. Every organization involves in communication, such as business, management, technical, clerical, even in personal relationships. So you need communication skill. If you are working in an organization, if you are a manager, if you are a subordinate, if you are a technical supervisor, or even if you are a clerk, a simple clerk, you need to communicate. You need communication skills. And if you have some kind of personal relationships, for example, you are a brother, you are a sister. All right, so with your brothers, with your parents, you need to talk, you need to communicate. All right, so we need communication skill, even uh, if we want to talk with our parents, if we want to talk with our brothers or sisters or friends, we need communication skills. And if you are doing a job, for example, the first step is to your interview, for example. So whenever you apply to your CV or your personal relationships, the first thing is that they wants you to interview to be interviewed. So the first step is to for your growth or for your job is your interview, and in that interview the first thing they are looking in you, that is your communication skills. The first thing they notice, the moment you speak something, they understand your level of communication, how you communicate, how expressive are you, how you deliver your point of view. All right, when they ask you something, all right, so they are looking at your manner, behavior, how you are delivering certain information, how you deal with certain questions, how you deal with certain situations. Sorry. So that's that is they are looking in you. All right, so they are measuring your communication skill. That is the first thing, or the first criteria that they are looking. And if you, for example, if you are, they ask you a question, okay, gentlemen, tell us something about yourself, introduce yourself, and you are unable to introduce even yourself, so what they would think of you? So they would think that okay, this person has graduated from UET new campus, and he has earned like 4 CGPA, and he has earned all A, for example, and he has an excellent educational background. But what happens to him that he even cannot introduce himself? So what's the worth of doing graduate degree or undergrad degree from UET, and uh, with all that grades and achievements, if he cannot express those achievements or grades, if he cannot explain? For example, they ask you, okay, what is CS, what is communication skills, or what is computer science? Okay, what is your important what is your major, what is your interesting subject, for example? And they ask you a question related to your subject, the basic, the rudiments of your subjects, and you cannot explain them, you cannot talk through those concepts. So what uh, concept they would make about you if you cannot answer, and even if you cannot share or introduce yourself properly? So what would they think of you? So they would definitely think of you that you are a person who cannot even explain himself. So what he will do to our organization if we hire that person? If we hire you, so you don't know how to communicate. So the recruiter will not hire you because you're not expressive. You don't know how to communicate. So that's the first step. All right. I was in an I was looking I was watching a video. So in that video there was an engineer working in a organization. So he shared a research in that video that he shared the data of 4 or 5 advanced countries, and then he showed the data of advanced countries recruitment agencies, how they hire, on what basis they hire a person for the job. And in that criteria, there were different there was a list of criteria, but the first thing they looking in a candidate, that is their personal communication or interpersonal or communication skills. Technical knowledge is at second place. All right, so the first step, the primary focus is communication skill. Technical knowledge, field knowledge comes later. All right, so that's why we are studying and we are putting more emphasis on communication skill. That's why you are reading up uh, in a 3 semester courses related to communication skill, because that's important. All right, in the end you are undergraduate, graduated from this university, and if you cannot express your knowledge or information you have learned in in effective manner, so nobody believe nobody believes you that you have done your graduation. They would think that okay, you just cram the information and you reproduce on a piece of paper, and you have used unfair means to pass the exams or everything, and you know nothing about your subject, and you know nothing about your uh, degree. because you cannot explain to them what you have learned. So what's the value of learning everything if you cannot explain your learning? So that's why communication skills are very important, and we often neglect it because we consider it a secondary or unimportant subject, because we think that okay, we are focusing more on our practical subjects, the subjects related to our field. We need to focus on them. That's why we often we often neglect communication skill as a subject. And I personally want to say that I feel this, that I have observed students and uh, some of the teachers as well. They say okay यार communication skill है बस ठीक है यार, ये इसका भी कोई पेपर होता है, ये पढ़ाने की क्या ज़रूरत है, बच्चों की communication खुद ही अच्छी हो जाती हैं, ठीक है। तो अ, वो they students, even they don't consider communication skill as an important subject. They consider it as a random subject. Okay, but just pass it and that's it. Okay, so I have seen that, I have observed that students, um, I'm not talking about you, I'm giving a journal example, a journal statement or observation, that students often consider it's a unimportant subject and don't take interest in reading or putting more efforts on this subject. But it, now you can understand why we need to study communication skill. Another important aspect that will help you to understand why we need to study communication skill, and that is a lifeblood of every organization. It's a lifeblood of every organization. It doesn't matter what kind of role are you playing. You need to communicate. For example, you are working in a department, uh, let's say as a chairman. So, what is the role of the chairman? What is the main or primary responsibilities of a chairman? So, all the time he is communicating, he's sending instructions, he's sending information, he's communicating with his subordinates, and his subordinates, they in return they are also sending or communicating with the boss. So, communication is there. For example, uh, you are a clerk or a supervisor, or and you're supervising, let's say, 10 people in your department. So what they are doing, they are communicating with you and you are communicating with them. All right, you are giving some instructions to them to follow, and in the same way they are following your instructions, and if they have any problem they are communicating with you. And you are communicating with one another, but you don't communicate properly. You have to communicate, but if you don't know how to communicate well, all right, if you don't know the principles of communication, so that communication will not be fruitful. And when the communication it doesn't bring any fruitful conclusion or communication, then what will happen? Problems start arising in that department. There will be problems, conflicts, because there's a lack of communication. So if problems are there in a department because of the communication, because of the lack of communication, that department is going to suffer soon. All right, and that department at the end, ultimately that department will collapse because of lack of communication. So that's why it's a lifeblood of every organization. We cannot survive in this era. We cannot survive by staying silent all the time, or by keeping ourselves at mute in any department or in any organization. We have to speak. We need to speak. Whenever we get a role to play in an organization, we have to communicate certain responsibilities, certain instructions. For that, we need to we need to communicate. So, lifeblood. For example, can you imagine a body, a life without blood? If there is no blood, there is no life. So body without blood is nothing. Same is the case with organization, that organization without communication is nothing. All right. If a body cannot exist without blood, if a life cannot exist without blood, Same is the case with communication. Without communication, organization cannot exist. It will disappear from the uh, from the from the world. All right, if they are not communicating properly. So that's why, for example, let's say after graduating from this degree, after this university, you hunt a job, you do a job, and then you finally you get a job. So where you have to play different roles, and for that you need to communicate. And if you don't communicate well, people, people will not accept you. Organization will not accept you. If you are creating problems because of lack of communication, all right, so there will be a lot of complaint about you. Okay, this person, he doesn't know how to communicate, and he's creating problems. He doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't even know how to address a person, how to say thank you, how to say okay, how to agree, how to disagree. Okay, how to counter an argument. He doesn't know anything about it. How to counter an argument, how to state an opposite idea or concept, or how to digest, how to play a role of a team leader, right? So again, if you lack in communication, if you don't know how to communicate, if you are not expressive enough, so you will be a problem rather than an asset for your organization. So if you are a problem for your organization, so nobody wants to uh, uh, you can say incur loss, so they will fire you. I mean, they mean here, or you mean here, a person who doesn't know how to speak or how to communicate. So that person will be difficult to adjust if he doesn't know how to speak or how to communicate. It is the reality of today's era, all right, today's world. And even you know better than me that if you want to do a business on Fiverr or Upwork or Amazon, whatever business you want to, so you need to okay, excuse me, just a minute. I'm really sorry, there was an interruption outside. So, all right. So, I forgot the point what I was discussing. Can you remind me what we were talking about? I was about to share something about you, and I now I forgot what I was about to tell you. Okay, Halima, what can you tell me?
So we were talking about communication within an organization and how it can affect the organization.
All right. Okay, roll number 633. Can you tell me what we were talking about?
यस सर, आप फाइवर और अपवर्क के बारे में बता
Ah,
रहे थे.
excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so now if you are doing a business, your people from your field, your background, they often do these kind of jobs, online jobs, and in that you need to create a gig. And you know what is the you can say the important aspect of a gig or your you can say context, that is your communication, how you communicate yourself as an excellent or skilled person to do that job. So as it's all about communication. If you have to speak with your Agora client, all right, and if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to say hello to the Gora, and if you don't know how what are the courteous rules, all right, or an etiquette to speak on internet or with Gora, so how would you get that client, how would you get that deal, all right? So uh, so in whatever business are you in, ever what kind of job, whatever job are you doing, so if you don't know how to communicate, so that would be a problem. Even I was listening to a giant of freelancing in Pakistan. I don't want to name him, you already know him. So I have seen several videos he has made on freelancing, and he is considered a guru in freelancing in Pakistan. And um, I have often observed this idea that he all the time and again, he says that we need to understand communication skill. We need to improve our communication skill, because if you are doing a business and you don't know how to communicate, so your business is gonna collapse soon. So that's the first thing we need to communicate. All right. Or so that's the first thing we need to master, that is communication skill. So it's a lifeblood of every organization. So that's why we need to study communication. Okay, then it says, uh, in if we talk about an organization, and an organization consists of different people. It's a group of people, and they are related to one another with for business. They are doing business, political, professional, religious, or social, um, and other purposes. So they gather together for certain common or shared values or shared objectives. So if there's a group, then there will be a communication or conversation. If you are only one, if you are all alone, so then there is no need to communicate, because there is no listener there. Because but if there's a group, there are speakers and then there are listeners, so there will be communication. So if you are working in a group of people, so you need to communicate. All right. So that group can be business group or political group or professional group or religious group, social group. All right. So in whatever capacity are you in, you need to communicate. So communication is inevitable. The next part is interaction. To interact, to communicate, to talk with one another, or communication with each other is inevitable, is indispensable. Inevitable means नागुज़ीर है. We cannot live without communicating. We cannot live without communicating our ideas or thoughts or opinions. All right, so it's inevitable. No communication, no organization, no success. If there is no communication, if there is a lack of communication, then that organization is going to suffer. That organization is going to collapse before long, soon. All right, and if there is no organization, all right, then there is no success. So, in other words, communication is the success of every organization. So success of every organization is, uh, you can say, based on one pillar, and that pillar is communication. If we destroy pillar of communication, then the whole organization will crumble, all right, or comes to ground, and it will annihilated or destroyed if there is no communication. So that's the rule. No communication, then there will be no organization. If there is an organization, there will be communication, and if they are not communicating properly, there's a lack of communication, so the whole system is going to collapse, and they have to face failure rather than success. So that's why now I think uh, you can understand how important it is to learn communication skill. All right, so now I would like to have your opinion on this topic, that why do we need to study communication skill? What do you think? Why do we need to study communication skill? If you have any other point you want to mention here, that this is the point, that's why we want to learn communication skill, other than these points that I have shared with you in these slides. So if you have any other point to share with the class fellows or with me, so you can share with us. So I would like to listen from you. So if you have any interesting observation about the importance of communication skills, you can share with us. So please raise your hand if you want to share. All right, Avaz, unmute yourself.
यस सर। सर जब हम किसी प्ले वगैरह के लिए स्क्रिप्ट लिख रहे होते हैं तो उसके अंदर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल बहुत मैटर करते हैं, क्योंकि हम दो लोगों के दरमियान की कम्युनिकेशन को इस तरह से हमने लिखना होता है कि लिख तो एक बंदा ही रहा है लेकिन दोनों के ओपिनियन और व्यूज का हमें पता चले।
Okay, okay, thank you. Yes, roll number 632. Unmute yourself.
Sir, till now we were talking about communication skills on professional level. That how, why a person should needs communication skills in order to survive in an organization, and even in an organization, even if the organization wants to survive. So apart from that, even personal life, communication skills are of great importance, because sometimes even we are on right, people often misunderstand our opinion. So we should understand, we should know how to communicate our ideas with the most suitable words, and by controlling our emotions as well.
Okay, excellent, excellent observation that sometime our miscommunication ruin our relationship. All right, our miscommunication, lack of communication, often, not sometime, often ruin our relationship. All right, destroy our relationship. For example, look at this example that for example, if you have something, if you have not speaking terms with your parents, for example, or your brother or sister, and you're not communicating with them, and if whenever you communicate with them in a very different strange way, so your miscommunication, your lack of communication will ruin your relationship between mother and daughter, mother and son, father and son. All right, and so if you're not communicating in your relationship, even personal relationship, and if you are not properly communicating with your relationship, those relationship will suffer. All right, so it will happen when you go into the professional life or your married life as well. So you will see that the people who communicate in a proper manner, they are happy couples, and the couples who do not you can say communicate or conversate or talk effectively, uh, they have to suffer a lot because of their miscommunication. All right, so it's very important even in our personal life. um, so the you can say the concept of communication, the aspects of communication, this idea is everywhere. We cannot escape from it. All right, we need to understand it, we need to be fluent, or we need to be communicative in order to communicate, in order to get success even in our professional life or even in our personal life as well. So that's quite interesting uh, point of view she shared with us. Okay, Hamza, what do you say?
Sir, if we have communication skills and we don't have confidence, then it is a very big issue. If we
Oh,
are telling someone, if we are telling someone about a issue and we are telling that issue wrong, but we are telling with fluency and confidence,
okay,
then he thinks that he is telling true. But if we
okay,
are telling that, yes, sir.
okay, please continue, please complete, finish your point.
But if we are telling the truth, but we have not confidence and no fluency, then he thinks that he's wrong.
Okay, excellent observation. It's another problem, when we do not know, if we lack in confidence, and if we communicate something, it seems like we are telling a lie. All right, if you are taking so much pauses, and if you are communicating without confidence, so people will think of that, okay, you are misleading them, you are telling a story, you are telling a fabricated story. So it will happen sometime. And confidence comes with practice. Confidence comes with speaking. Confidence comes with communication. All right, communication, improving communication skill is like building your muscle. When if you go to a gym, so you if you want to grow your bicep or tricep, you work out daily. All right, you do certain exercises to grow your muscle. So it will take time. It takes time. Sometime it takes 6 months or 10 months or a year to build your muscle. So same is the communication skill. All right, more you use it, more you communicate, more you become confident, and your muscle of communication will grow more. So if you want to get confident speaker, or if you want to communicate in confidence, then you need to practice it, because we lack in practice. That's why we sometimes feel that, okay, we are not confident. So confidence comes with practice, practice and practice. Okay, thank you so much. We are running out of time, so in next meeting I will take question from Barkat Ali, and any other student who would like to share his opinion with us. So I'll take questions in next meeting, because we are running out of time. Thank you so much for your feedback and response. So I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.